Roxo Media House.
Jeff Wilson started covering the Texas Rangers in 2008, though he'll never forget 2021. Out on his own, he decided it was time to do a podcast, but his wheels were spinning until a nerd came along. There's no going back now. Welcome to the Texas Rangers Baseball Podcast. Here's your host, Jeff Wilson, and the recliner nerd himself, John Moore.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. This is episode number 56. Today, former right-handed pitcher Colby Lewis, special assistant to the general manager. He's going to come in studio, guys. He's going to be talking to us here shortly. But first, we do need to go big leagues, talk about what's going on. Remind it, well, you know what? It's going to be too late by the time they hear this. Do it for Duretz tonight, but that's going to be over with by the time this all gets out.
Yeah. But you can still donate to
absolutely
at doitfordirt.com.
Absolutely. Yep. You can go on there and still donate, even though that's already going to be going. Big leagues. There's nothing. Season's over. Playoffs started. Manager search.
Yeah, you know,
we know Beasley's interviewed.
Right. No, there were definitely interviews this week. You know, we were trying to line up. I was trying to line up another guest who was unable to participate because he had some work to do. And so,
okay.
Yeah. So they're getting to
we'll
it.
Talk about that off air.
And then, Martin Perez's agent was scheduled to meet with Chris Young. So there's things happening. Not a lot of news has been reported. You know, last two coaching searches, managerial searches. Sorry, yeah. The team would announce in bulk the people who had interviewed either a certain week or after a certain round. Haven't had that announcement yet. And, you know, knowing the Rangers, it's going to come at 5:00 tonight while I'm trying to set up Do It for Dirt, but that's all right. So anyway.
So you think some people were probably at least talked to this week?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's no way they weren't. Yeah.
I'd be shocked if there wasn't. That'd be some serious foot dragging. You know, the White Sox have a managerial opening. So do the Marlins.
Those three to start.
So, I mean, those are three jobs. You know, the Angels stayed with Phil Nevin. Phillies stayed with Rob Thompson. I'm assuming the Blue Jays. Well, I don't know about the Blue Jays. I haven't heard if they're going to stick with their interim or not. But there are jobs to be had, and it's a competitive market, and so you need to get out there and put your best foot forward to get the guy you want to get.
Yeah, there is a new guy in charge, so we're hoping he's on top of it, which I'm assuming he is. But again, the Rangers have always done this, though. They play so close to the vest. They just do not put anything out until they're ready to put something out.
Well, and you know, teams for the most part don't do that. But you know, things get leaked,
right?
And that's bound to happen. And hopefully, it happens to me here at some point. You know, I'd really like to know too.
Yeah.
But not a lot of messages being returned so far. But that's fine. We got a lot of fish to fry anyway too. So, but yeah. So you know. So that's the big hire. I don't care what anybody says. The biggest acquisition of the Rangers offseason is the manager. I don't care who they sign. The biggest one is the manager. So that, you take care of that. He puts his stamp on the club, sends it in the direction, or joins in with Chris Young on the direction they want it to go.
Absolutely.
Gets the pitching coach in place. That's another hire. That'll probably be a little later. I would imagine the manager's going to have a say in that one. But pitching coach is a big deal, but manager is the big deal. Before we can talk about Jacob deGrom or Justin Verlander or Carlos Rodon, we have to talk about
the manager search,
the managerial search.
And you know what? Look, there's a couple of little rumors came out yesterday. One guy that you and I both would love to see the Rangers hire interviewed with the White Sox, or they have spoken. That was Ron Washington, along with Joe Espada, who is the bench coach for the Astros, who his name seems to pop up every year. It popped up last time.
Yeah.
With Chris Young. So that's another name.
The Royals also have an opening. The Royals are another team with an opening.
So so there is a lot of places to go here, and do that. So maybe I know this isn't going to drag out past October for sure. So it's probably something's going to happen here in the next week or two. You'd have to assume.
You'd have to assume.
They got to get that in place. I mean,
it just depends. If the guy they want to interview you want to hire is coaching for a playoff team.
Yeah,
you got to let that play out.
Sure.
That's what happened with Chris Woodward.
Right.
He went all the way to the World Series with the Dodgers, and it started picking up right there I can't remember the timeline, if they interviewed him during the World Series or if it was between the ALCS or the NLCS and World Series, but they talked to him on the phone first, then they met with him and, hired him after the World Series ended.
And I'm sure that Chris probably has one or two guys he's really interested in, I would imagine. I mean,
sure.
And other people blow you away. Look, they said that that's happened before. I think Ron Washington was a name they were just interviewing at the time, and he really kind of caught their attention with John Daniels and kind of won them over and ended up being a good hire. So there's different guys that could surprise you. You probably got names out there, but we got to get into free agency and just at least talk about it. Look, none of this is going to really kick in till after the World Series, which is going to end. Is that in the first week of November, or is that?
I don't know.
I've got to look at it. Everything's a little bit,
everything's backed up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I think we go into November this year, though.
Look, everyone's talking about free agent pitching. You've got Jacob DeGrom up there.
Yeah.
Is that a reality? I mean, I guess it's a reality.
I don't know.
It's realistic, I guess.
He's great, right? He's phenomenal. He's won 2 Cy Young awards. Those seasons that he had, where I remember the wins and losses. He didn't have a ton of wins. He was barely above 500 each year, but just the other numbers were just so unbelievable that he had to be voted the Cy Young winner. And he's great. His career ERA is 2.52.
Yeah,
I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, he had a 3.08 ERA this year, and that was on the high side for him when you look at his career numbers. The problem, of course, is that he hasn't stayed healthy. He did stay healthy. He pitched a full season in 2020. What was a full season? He made 12 starts in the 60-game season.
Right.
Since then, though, it's 15, and this year is 11.
Right.
And it's dominant when it's there. He is a little older. He's not a young man.
Is he mid-30s, 34?
He's in his 30s.
Right.
And so, how much do you want to? How long is the deal? How certain are you that he's going to be able to fulfill the terms of the contract? And then, do you want to get into a bidding war with the Mets? Because I think that when you're talking about a pitcher of his caliber,
right,
you only have a certain number of teams that can play at that level,
right? And the Rangers can play at that level. Do you want to play at that level?
Right.
That's the situation,
right? And if it's like a Scherzer deal, $3 and $140 million or whatever it was, that's stretching the wall. It's a short-term deal, but
it's a lot of money for a short term.
And it's a lot of money for a guy who's made 26 starts the last 2 seasons. Sure. So I don't know, but you kind of look at the other marquee guys. I think Verlander has a player option with the Astros that people expect him to opt out of. Well, shit, he's 40. He's not a young man.
Well, so you're not.
But he was unbelievable this year. He was fantastic. So, but what's his deal look like? He's older than Scherzer was last year. So do you base it on Scherzer? Is it a new structure? How long? Do you want to give that kind of money to a guy who's that old? Honestly, it's not unlike kind of the situation that the Rangers found themselves in with Nolan Ryan.
Right.
When they signed Nolan Ryan, he was 41.
Right.
And
that was purely a draw. They were just trying to draw people in. I mean, I was a fan back then. You weren't here. I'm telling you, that was to get butts in the seats every 5th game. And to do that, and then what he ended up accomplishing over the next 4 or 5 years was just flat out amazing.
Right.
You don't see guys going, there are no Tom Brady's that pitch till they're 45. Well, what's his name? Bartolo Colon who did it. But
at that level.
Right.
Now, so, I mean, is Justin Verlander...
Could be.
Is that Justin Verlander?
They're kind of the same. He throws upper 90s. He's aggressive he's not afraid to back people off. He's aggressive when he pitches. Yeah. It's a matter of just had the one really unhealthy year where he was hurt here.
We had Tommy John, last year.
Last year, right? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's basically it. But I don't know if you blow that. I mean, a 41-year-old, that for me, I just think there's younger guys to go for. I'm a fan of, I keep doing this. I mean, every year I tend to go to Japan and look overseas.
Yeah.
I'm a Kodai Senga guy. I kind of think that is to go along with the frontline starter and getting Martin Perez. That's a guy that could be somewhat affordable. He's going to get more money than a lot of them. And look, he's not going to put up the numbers he's putting in Japan here, but if he's a mid-3s ERA and he starts 25 games and he gives you that, the guy throws 100 miles an hour. He's got a devastating forkball. that I've just seen videos of. But those hitters there aren't the same as here.
Right.
And
right.
we've seen what happened when they went with what's his name that just
Arihara.
Yeah, Arihara's not the same deal.
Right.
Arihara's older. This guy's just 29, 30 years old. I like him. I mean, I think he could be somebody that I don't think he'll get as much as Suzuki, who I was all over last year.
Yeah.
He ain't going to get that kind of money.
I don't know. I actually wrote about this Monday or Sunday for a Japan newspaper. They wanted to because Darvish is in the playoffs and Darvish is still a huge deal in Japan. And they wanted me to write about my experiences with Darvish and, why he's been successful. When you kind of look at the pitchers who've come from Japan have been successful, they've had one either bastard of a pitch or they've been a power pitcher.
Right.
And Darvish is both.
Right.
And so I think he's been the most successful. You can look at Hideo Nomo. Nomo never really had a low ERA.
Shohei has not had the success.
Shohei hasn't had the durability, the longevity.
Right. Yeah, he's been hurt.
I mean, this is Darvish's 10th season.
Sure.
11 if you include the Tommy John year. I mean, this guy's been here a long time. But Matsuzaka with Daisuke.
Yeah,
didn't last long.
Right.
With the Mets, Tanaka, he had the great split, but when they changed the ball in 2019, it affected him, and he went back to Japan. Hiroki Kuroda with the Mariners was kind of a junk baller. He finished third in the 2013 Cy Young.
What did Kikuchi do this year?
Behind Kikuchi pitched in Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't think he pitched in the playoffs. They only had 2 games, but he wasn't great. I mean, we're not talking about him, but
he was a left-hander.
Anyway, you got to have some power or just a devastating pitch that nobody can hit. And there are 3 guys really from Japan this year who could potentially come over, and they all throw hard. One of them has a terrific slider, so it's kind of interesting. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Rangers landed in one of the 3. And I think Senga is a free agent. So he doesn't need a post. There won't be a posting process.
I just read about this. So Senga actually signed a 5-year deal last year with his team, but he had a 1-year opt-out.
Okay.
So he can opt out, total free agent, because in Japan you have to be there 10 years or they have to post you. So he's been there since he was 19 or 20. He's now 29, 30. He signed a 5-year deal last year with a 1-year opt-out. Everyone expects him to opt out and come to the United States. My understanding is he is the best pitcher in Japan. But there is a young guy over there who threw a perfect game. I don't think
Sasaki. He's too young.
He's too young.
He almost threw back-to-back perfect games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he's not coming back. He's not coming over yet.
Right.
I don't think his team's going to let him go yet.
No. Maybe back in the Darvish days when you had to post and pay a ton for the posting, then maybe it was possible. But now most of the team could get 20 or 25. So
something like that.
It's just not going to happen.
And Colby Lewis will be here. He was a Japanese pitcher.
We could talk to Colby Lewis about it. That's right.
Or what the atmosphere is like over there. Okay, so who else? So we've got DeGrom we've talked about. Who's more realistic? Who do you think?
I don't know.
Rodon, is he going to opt out?
You'd think, but he's got blemishes too. I mean, but now there is risk with every free agent signing. Every draft choice, there's risk.
Absolutely.
I mean, risk is an inherent part of this, and you can insure the contracts and all that stuff, but there's not like a shining guy just floating out there that everybody wants. There's like not a Garrett Cole this year. And so I don't know, and again, the Rangers have had a ton of success with the mid-tier guys.
Right.
And we talked about
exactly
we
right.
talked about it last time, Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, Martin Perez this year. So they've been able to identify a lot of good value and guys who've turned into pretty good stuff. So that wouldn't surprise me either. Maybe they get one like that. Maybe they aim high, shoot for the moon. If that doesn't work, maybe they pursue trades. You see the Shane Bieber and the Pablo Lopez from the Marlins, who would have 2 years of control left. But then what do those deals look like? He
struggled in the second half. Pablo Lopez did struggle.
Yeah, so anyway, a lot of unknowns, but those are the names.
And I know Texas Ranger fans are just expecting Ray Davis. You need to open your checkbook and just go get DeGrom, Verlander, and Rodon. That's what they're expecting. That's not the way it works. But I will say this: one thing I'm not worried
Kershaw.
about.
We got to remember Kershaw.
That's it.
He's got to be out there. Yeah.
I think on Kershaw, if they were to win the World Series, it would be more likely he might give a try to come here and pitch for a little bit. But he also he's a big fan of staying somewhere till the end of his career. But it's whether the Dodgers really want to.
Well, yeah.
Where's their money going? Towards Kershaw? Or are they going to try to keep Trey Turner? I mean, what are they going to do?
I mean, how the thought was, well, he's got a fourth kid now.
Yeah.
He likes staying at home. He likes seeing these guys.
Lives in Dallas.
Lives in Dallas. I mean, what if it was just a terrible year at home for his wife? She's like, God, I wish you would have signed with the Rangers.
Yeah.
I think he's just always going to pitch for the Dodgers. I think he believes in his legacy, and I think he likes the idea of pitching for one team. So and I think,
but the Dodgers have to step up.
But he was really good this year,
yeah.
and I think that that's just going to be kind of like a thing with the Rangers and Beltray at the end. Just keep re-signing him for 1 or 2 years until he's had enough.
Yeah, we could totally see that too.
Yeah.
One thing I'm confident in, where the Rangers have not been in a long time, is you can sign 2 or 3 of these guys or trade, 3 new pitchers. Let's add Martin, 2 other pitchers to this rotation. That puts you at 4 deep with competition for the 5th spot. And after that, for the first time ever, you have a little depth there of guys that can fill in if someone goes down for a month.
Yeah.
You've got some guys, even Cole Winn, who had a bad year, but you've got Leiter, you've got Rocker. You've got guys that are sitting there that it's not the worst thing in the world if they step up and are lights out. And it's the first look, you've got Dunning, you've got Otto, you've got guys, you've got it there at the AAA level. Zach Kent, if he's not moved it somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got guys.
Well, and that's another thing. How do the Rangers want to give out a 6-year contract to a bunch of pitchers?
Sure.
And fill up the rotation, because they do want to develop their own starting pitching.
Sure.
And they have guys who they think can pitch in the major leagues. And to be a financially solvent team,
you got to have cheap pitching.
You gotta have that. You just, unless you want to be like Steve Cohen in New York and just
pay the luxury tax.
Don't care about the luxury tax and just pay.
The Dodgers are doing the same thing,
and that's fine. If that's what they want to do. But it sounds like the Ray Davis, I know, does not believe in that. He wants homegrown talent. So
yep,
that's another aspect. So DeGrom would be a short deal. Verlander would be a short deal. Kershaw would be a short deal. Rodon probably would not be a shorter deal. So you just kind of have to.
Maybe one longer term. Somebody like Senga probably wouldn't be a real short deal either. You're probably looking 5 years at least.
Yeah.
Something like that. So,
but if they're better, the Rangers sacrificed their 2nd and 3rd round draft choices this year because they signed players, Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, who are going to be better than anything they could have drafted.
Right.
So, if you look at it, if you kind of look at it those terms, like this guy's going to be better than
anything we
Cole
can
Winn.
get. Yeah.
Then you do it. But, it's a big puzzle. and if you re-sign Martin Perez for 3 years,
sure,
you've got Gray and Martin for 3 more years.
I'm telling you, Martin Perez, if he ends up being your 4th or 5th starter, this is a fantastic rotation.
Sure.
I mean, because I still believe, I don't care what anyone says, you can say, oh, maybe this was an outlier year. Martin Perez has learned something. He is not going to be a guy, I think, that goes above mid-3s in his ERA. He is a guy that is not going to get folded under the tent if he gives up 1 or 2 runs in the first inning. Yeah. This is a guy who's matured. And I mean, it's just he did it all year. I'm sorry, it's not the same pitcher. He is so calm, collected out there. He doesn't get rattled anymore. He used to get rattled if he started. He doesn't do it. He just does his stuff and he goes out and he battles.
Yeah,
that guy's got to be signed. Because all right, what about bats?
Before we move on, who's going to catch these guys?
Okay.
So the one position that I think is the most intriguing is catcher because you have Jonah Heim, who I know he wore down, but he really established himself as a frontline major league catcher. It's 1 year he's got to do it again, but and then you have Mitch Garver, who was injured. When he's healthy, he hits a bunch of home runs. He's not as good as Jonah defensively. And then,
but has said he likes playing defense.
Right. But I'm a big Sam Huff guy. I think the Sam Huff you saw the last month or after his last call up was really good. He caught really well. He was really good behind the plate. He hit well. So I think that the Rangers find themselves in a unique situation where they
Someone
could keep,
may be expendable.
well, and they could keep 3 catchers. You know, if 3 of your 9 best hitters are Jonah Heim, Mitch Garver, and Sam Huff,
They'll be in the lineup.
You got to find a way to do it. It wouldn't be easy, of course, because one of them would have to play first base. But geez, then you have Nate Lowe. Holy cow!
Yeah,
who had a great year and looks like he established himself potentially as a everyday first baseman. So
this depends on the manager hire.
But I think Heim is a guy.
Yep.
I think there's no question that he's there. Garver, do you DH him? DH first base. Do he and Lowe split that? Do you make can Sam Huff then be a backup who plays three times a week?
Maybe DH also once. Or
sure. So
when you get an all right-handed lineup in there and you need Jonah to take a day off, who could bat right-handed? Don't get me wrong, but you could give him the day off and have the other 2 right-handers in there.
So it's interesting position, and
they need another bat. So that's a position where it could be added internally.
Sure,
the bat everyone's talking about could be Josh Young. Everybody's saying we want him.
Well, yeah, I think they're already counting on that. And I think they're counting on Garver coming back and being healthy, which is hard to count on. But
right.
The plan A is those 2 guys being in the middle of the lineup doing stuff.
Right.
But could Sam Huff? What more does he have to do at AAA? Really? I mean, he hit 20 home runs and 250 at bats roughly. I mean, so that's pretty good.
And when he hits a home run, it's a home run. Yeah. I mean, golly.
Not a lot of wall scrapers out there.
No, he's not rubbing paint off the top of the wall at all. No, he's sticking them up there. Okay, so pretty much at the big league level, we've kind of hit it. I mean, we could talk free agent bats next week. There's all these. We're going to talk all this every week, I think.
Yeah.
We need to get into maybe some trade pitchers. We'll do some homework on that and
kind
of check into that. But until a manager's hired, we're going to keep talking about that too.
Yeah. And probably after. Yeah.
Right. So get Colby in here. Let's get Colby in, and then we'll go down in the bus leagues after that.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Colby Lewis is next. Okay, guys, and joining us right now is former Texas Ranger right-hand pitcher and now special assistant to the general manager, Colby Lewis, has joined us. Colby, thanks so much for coming on, bud.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure, for sure.
Colby's in town because of Do It for Dirt, which the event's tonight, and obviously you guys aren't going to see this until after tonight, but Colby's a regular. He's been a huge help for Do It for Dirt, and he and Richard got along great, and pretty much ever since first event, you've been around.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I felt like there was definitely a special group of guys that was in the clubhouse at that time, and Richard was a big part of that, and I think that's why I continue to do things I do. Especially with his wife Kelly, kind of raising the kids and doing everything she possibly can.
Oh,
so,
my gosh.
I know, super hands full, especially after the passing. So, but yeah, I mean, it's everybody came together, and it was like a super special thing to see. Like after
it was,
it
was, and
still is. So,
yeah. But I remember we were in Oakland, and it was awful, and but like the team rallied and raised a lot of money aside from what we did, and I remember Chu telling Leonis Martin, pointing at this thing and saying saying $5,000, Leonis, get it out, yeah. So but that's great, and we're still going on, and thanks for being a part of it, and thanks for dragging yourself out of bed.
No, I'm 2 hours behind, so I actually woke up at my normal time, 6:30. That's what time I usually wake up in the morning at home, and so it was 8:30 here. So I mean, I was right on schedule.
All right, perfect. Yeah, because I texted you at 9:30. Just glad I didn't wake you up.
No. No late nights. Maybe tonight though. After who knows?
So the current Texas Rangers. What do you think of them? How's it been?
Yeah, I mean, we just got a lot of things to work out and find find the right pieces to kind of get around Seager and Simeon and Garcia. So I mean, it's just trying to. For me, I mean, I'm still kind of old school. I mean, I want guys to get out there and try to go more than 5 innings, you know. Yeah. But I know that isn't quite the way the league and, you know, other teams are doing. It's a lot of analytical now, and so it's finding strikeout numbers and big situations and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, if it goes that way, then middle relief guys need to start to get paid a lot more. So I mean, if you're going to go out and throw 140 innings and make $25 million a year, shoot, I missed the league by 10 years. You know? So maybe I get myself back in shape. I can go 5. That was easy stuff. But yeah, I think that's the thing. The main keys that we're just gonna have to find 1 or 2 guys to get out there and kind of rally the pitching staff and get things working in the right direction.
You were teammates with Martin Perez when he was much younger.
Oh yeah.
Did you see this coming? What he did this year?
I actually I love Martin, and I feel like it was like he's always had that personality where it could be in him, you know. And I just think that the older you get, and I kind of felt the same way, is that like just the game just allows yourself to slow down. And I think he realized what he was capable of, and he went out there and just did it this year. You know, I think getting back in a Texas uniform was super comfortable for him. You know, I don't think there was a lot of pressure on him, a lot of familiar faces. It's kind of the same way I felt when I came back from Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he just grew up and just was like, all right, I'm gonna throw my sinker here, but it's gonna be for a strike, and I'm gonna cut guys in and you know, throw his off-speed stuff for strikes, and you wind up with almost 200 innings. You know, so yeah, those are the type of guys that you know, in my opinion, I mean, that's me. You know, is that I like to see that eat up innings. You know, I mean, Dio says it perfectly. Darren Oliver, you know, he says when you got a guy that you know is going to go 7+ innings, you know, it's a big relief sitting down there in the bullpen and knowing that you're not going to have to get up in the 5th or 6th, you know. Right. So it just we just need more guys like that, I think.
I mean, if a team is in a stretch of 15 in a row, let's say, and you have 4 straight starts of 5 innings or less, your bullpen's screwed.
Yeah. And not only that, and then you roll into another series and everything else, and it happens again. And that's why I said, I mean, if it continues this way with throughout the league, then, you know, I think those middle relief guys definitely, you know, those 6th, 7th, 8th inning guys need to really start to get paid more. So,
I mean, Brock Burke had a great year.
Right.
It seems like Taylor Hearn might be capable of two innings 3 times a week, let's say.
Right.
I mean, but you're right.
Yeah, give us, you know, I mean, yeah, kind of like if he moves into that middle relief role, give us 100 innings out of the pen, you know, something like that. I mean, that would be ideal, you know. You know, probably 80 to 100 innings out of the pen, especially with his stuff. I mean, you can come in and shut the door and from the left-hand side, and definitely, I mean, I was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to use the word, I guess, I'm not disappointed, but like I felt like he had a great opportunity this year to really roll it out, and it was just kind of on and off and missed it a little bit. But like an exceptional young man, I really, really enjoy him, and can be an intricate part of, like, especially like if we move him into that middle relief type of role. So. Well,
and he's so great in the community. He's from here. He wants to be here. Wants to do great things. So yeah, I mean, he needs to be a piece. And, right. Yeah, I mean, you don't see a lot of lefties that can do 97.
Yeah, and when the slider's on, it's a wipeout slider, you know, and just trying to get him to get that more, you know, like being from a starter standpoint. I mean, it's trying to get that to be able to be a strike pitch and a wipeout pitch, you know, and I think that's where he kind of struggled with it a little bit this year. But I mean, when you know you got to come in for 2 innings or, you know, 2 1/3 or whatever it is, you know, you come in with your best stuff and let it rip, you know.
So 68 wins, 8 more than the abysmal. I've never seen anything like last season. It was just terrible. It felt like showing up this year to the ballpark. It felt like every night the Rangers had a chance to win. It really did.
Well, especially early. I mean, we lost so many games close. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like, golly, can we just squeak out? Like, like it was so many 1-run, 2-run games, it was just, it's just, a couple, Bull Durham saying, it's like a couple broken bat singles here or there. And next thing you know, we got a couple more wins under our belt.
Is this team closer than people might think? Closer?
I think so. Yeah. And then I think, bringing in some different, we're going to, some new job openings are going to be opening up. And so I think, putting those, finding the right people for those roles and getting guys a lot more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think some of these younger guys that have had the last couple of years should be ready to rock and roll, this next year, third year, fourth year rolling in and have that more of that comfort level. So, I think we're definitely turning the page. So
how do you like Glenn Otto?
I mean,
as a pitcher, I like the guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, I think he is a guy that can go out there and give us a lot of innings and be competitive for us. And I think that's the big thing that like I said earlier, it's like you want guys that want to roll out and throw a lot of strikes, and keep the walks down and keep the hitters on their toes. Keep them engaged. I think that's always been since the last 4 or 5 years is the walk totals has just been outrageous. So is that that's one of the things that I always prided myself on. It's like, if you're going to get beat with a single. Right. What was that year that I gave up 37 homers or something like that? And I don't know, 20 something of them were solo shots.
Right.
Like if you get beat, you get beat, but just don't give up the 3-run homer after 2 walks.
Right.
So that's where I kind of want to see these guys at, like early in the game, attack guys and make them earn it.
He got better because he had a stretch there. I mean, his second half was good, but like his last month, he cut down the walks.
Right.
Really, it sunk in.
Right.
If there was a message saying he got it, and he's a good guy. I remember you gave up 5 home runs in a game at Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore. I started off, it was
homer. It was like a complete. It was a complete game though.
And no. So it was. I threw 7 innings, and wound up losing. It was 6-5. And so the line was I gave up 5 homers, 1 double. It was 6 hits, 5 homers, 1 double, no walks, 12 punch outs, and I threw 4 pitches out of the stretch. That was it.
That's unbelievable.
So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I was like, how does that happen? And threw like 102 pitches or something like that. But that was my thing, is like if I missed over the middle, it got hit out. Like it was just crazy. But still to be able, for me, like that was my thing, is like, so what? I gave up homer to start the game. And I'm like, well, that's all done.
Yeah.
They're not getting any more. They got 2 more after that, or 3 more after that. But it was like, but there was fast, and to still put yourself in position to go 7 innings.
Right.
And keep the bullpen,
which is valuable.
And if it's early, 4 runs in the first isn't a death
sentence. No, especially with our team in 11. It was like, gosh, we had Moreland hitting 9th with like 20 homers, So we were deadly. So
yeah. How do you think of your career? Because it's a story, man.
Yeah. I feel blessed in a lot of ways, just to be able to like come back from a lot of injuries. But my wife always says, look, you worked hard to be able to come back from those injuries. So, I don't know. I think that was instilled for me with my dad, but, the thing that I kind of like, I feel like I missed on, and it was, kind of crummy that, like in 12, my flexor goes out,
right.
And it was going to have another 200 plus inning year,
right.
And then, and that was going to be like a big payday for me, and then, and then after, what was it? 14, I threw 210 innings or 8 innings or something like that. And then,
your hip,
and then I come back the next year, and then it's my lat, and then, and then there's no job offers, so it's like, But yeah, I mean, I feel super fortunate and blessed to be able to have seen the things I did. I got to go to Japan, meet great people. You know, JD and the staff at the time gave me the opportunity to come back, you know, put myself back in a Ranger uniform. And gosh, I mean, out of the 7 years I was back, we went to the postseason 6 years. You know what I mean? So to have that opportunity I really wouldn't change anything. I mean, because I felt like I worked hard every day, did the things I needed to do, and it just wasn't in my cards to have the huge payday, you know. But I mean, life's good. I don't have to. You know, I'm not complaining. Yeah, you know, I mean, I got a great job here with the Rangers, and get to still give back and donate my time a little bit with my local junior college. So, yeah, it's just life's good.
My favorite, I don't know, it probably is my favorite Colby Lewis story. So you guys clinched in Oakland in 10, all right, on a Saturday day game.
It was just the beer.
Well, maybe. So anyway, so we all kind of
let it play out. Let's see what he's doing.
The players go out, and we're a few of us riders are fortunate enough to go, and we're there together, you and your brother, and a lot of guys.
Oh, this is when we were playing
Oakland.
Oh, and we celebrate that night.
Right. Yeah. The next day,
everybody came out.
Everybody.
Front office, everybody. Yeah. Okay.
Next day, you've got a pitch.
We got the C lineup in there.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
The
whole A lineup was gone.
Now, I don't want to say I saw you drink. I don't know how much because I drink a lot too. All right.
I mean, we clinched the West. I mean, it was,
so anyway, you're pitching the next day.
Yeah.
Day game. It's early. You come in the Oakland clubhouse. It's terrible, but like the training room is right off.
Yeah.
It was right by your locker.
Yeah.
You come in and you grabbed a jar of Advil that's about this size, and you just open the lid and just.
Just four of them.
That was about 18.
Yeah.
And you drank it. You went out and you tossed 6 because you were approaching 200 innings.
I needed like 3 1/3 for 200 innings.
And if you got to 200, I think something kicked in.
Yeah.
But you just went out there, and then afterward, you know, it was a wild game. It was like 21-8. I mean, it was ridiculous. You guys ended up winning, but afterward we go in.
I don't think I gave up like 1 run, and then they.
But they went after at the end of the game went crazy. But we go in and we're talking to Wash, and he goes, "Everybody in there." He's like, "Look at what Colby Lewis did today. That's a man. that's a pro." Anyway, that's my favorite Colby Lewis story.
No, it was a good night, and then we quite a few guys. Like I said, the whole A lineup had the day off, and then some of the B guys was off, and then. We had all the rookies and all the guys that usually all the call ups and everything else for September playing. Yeah. So yeah.
No, Jeff Francoeur had to play that day. He had to DH.
Yeah.
He had a few.
Can't you hit like 2 homers that day? Didn't he?
Yeah, he hit 1 in the clincher.
Yeah.
So he's on fire. Yeah. He hadn't done anything the whole time. But Francoeur hit a 3-run homer, ran around the bases, ran up to the clubhouse and threw up.
I believe it. Yeah.
He was drinking Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that because I was drinking with him. But and then I mean 10 was just. I know everybody will talk about 11 being the missed chance, but 10 was just kind of a dream for the franchise. And this, you know,
for sure,
with what you contributed in Game 6.
Yeah, I think 10 was like after we beat the Yankees, because it was such that like build up in 98, 99. You know, like it was just like that crusher. We had to play the Yankees and they beat us. You know what I mean? Like so, and 99 was the year I got drafted, and so it was like I don't know. I still felt part of it. You know, even just because I had a Ranger uniform on. I mean, I was like, that's where I want to be, you know? So being an organizational guy, I'm like, so I saw it early, you know, in 98, 99. And then for us to get back and I felt like that was our World Series, you know, like I really do. Like it was, and then I felt like we kind of rolled in team wise, like a little flat, you know, like in 10, you know, like facing the Giants and their wild card team. We were like, we're going to steamroll these guys and just kind of, you know, they took us.
Yeah.
Oh.
The only game though that World Series you guys won, I think you started
7 1/3, 7 2/3.
But game 6 against the Yankees is famous because of the Feliz thing. But you wanted to pitch that inning.
Yeah,
you thought you were going to pitch that inning.
I told Wash, I said, I'm going back out, and he's like, "No, Cole, nephew gonna do his thing. I gotta get let nephew in there." You know, I said, "Wash, I'm up," because I was only like at 95 pitches or something or whatever it was. I was under 100, and I'm like, it still gives me goosebumps. I'm like, you hear your name getting chanted and all this kind of stuff, and you're just so psyched. You're like, I want to finish this thing. It's my game. You know what I mean? I've given up one run, and that one run shouldn't even happen.
Right.
Because it was a breaking ball, instant replay. Now it would hit,
It was second base. Was it the home
no,
run?
it was, Alex was on, A-Rod was on third, and Swisher was up. And it was 1-2 count, so I threw like a back foot slider, and it hit him. And he said it didn't. And it got by, who was it?
Napoli?
Maybe Nap at the time.
Or Molina.
Molina.
Definitely Molina.
Yeah, Molina.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Molina. And so
Napoli wasn't on the team.
A-Rod scores, and then I get Swisher out, and the inning's over because it was 2 outs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it definitely hit him. So I would have had first and third with 2 outs, and that run didn't score. So, that was the only run that I gave up. But yeah, I mean, it was like, I'm like, this is my game. You know what I mean? Like, I want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but he got the statue and I didn't. So. Way it goes, I guess, right?
Those are the breaks.
Right? Those are the breaks.
Yeah. I know there's a managerial search, and clubs being quiet about it, that's fine. But personally, I would love Wash to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Wash is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You can't put a price tag on Wash's personality and what he brings to the game. So especially what he brought to this organization. I feel like there's certain guys that just change the atmosphere of just a locker room and a clubhouse and especially like the sport, really,
Yeah.
And that's one of them. He's one of my favorites.
How well do you know Chris Young?
Good. Yeah, we played together.
Right.
And then, of course, then he went throughout his career and stuff like that. But just getting together every once in a while. Ron Mayhay, like I remember we hooked up a couple different times at his house, just when we were throughout our playing career in Arizona and stuff like that, and having dinner or something like that. But didn't really ever stay in touch throughout. But I mean, he's just like, for me, like it's super easy to talk to, because we're teammates,
Right.
So it's a real easy communication line.
Could you tell at getting to know him that this was in his future? That
Oh yeah, I mean, well, just personality wise and how his brain works, I mean, it just dives in, and when he dives in on something, it's 1,000%. So, and I mean, being a former player, like he's got that adrenaline and that fieriness to him that like I'm not saying that that any GM that didn't play or anything like that doesn't, but like it's just a different atmosphere. Like when the game should go like a different way, you know what I mean? Like because you've felt it and you breathed it and been a part of it and stood on that mound or stood in that batter's box and so like I thought it was awesome when they were sharing the job, JD and him, and so that he brought one aspect and JD brought the other aspect. But unfortunately, partnership split. But yeah, I mean, it's like I think it's great for the organization to have a guy that's been in the
trenches.
The trenches, yeah. There's the word I was looking for. So yeah, but yeah, it's good.
All right, give me like 3 minor league prospects, pitching prospects that you really like that you've seen.
Well, I mean, of course, we just got Kumar, so I think needs some polishing, like needs some time on the mound. Gosh, who else? Got a couple younger guys. I know that I'm still like seeing faces and getting to know a lot of these guys, but yeah, I watched, I forget his name. I watched him the other day and he's going to be really good. Just a big strike thrower and he's like 92, 96. And so just kind of knows how to move the ball around. But yeah, we got some guys that are in the wings. So Wynn's right there, like Cole Wynn. I like Cole a lot. Had a conversation with Dio and I did with him the other day. And I think he kind of had an in-between year, I think he kind of thought he was you know, on track to be in the big leagues this year. And just some things that just didn't go his way, you know?
Yeah.
You know, with some walks and stuff like that. But I think this next year is going to be a big year for him. So,
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
I mean, he was the fourth youngest guy in that league at the start of the
Yeah,
of the
he's still 20. Was he 21, right? 22. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's when I broke in. I mean, gosh, you're still so, like, your head's going crazy, you know? Like, you stand on the mound and you're like, oh gosh, if I walk this guy right now, am I going to get sitting down? You know what I mean? Like, and you put that so much pressure on yourself instead of just allowing yourself to go out there and be like, this is the best stuff I got today, good, bad, or ugly. Like, I'm gonna get another opportunity, whether it's in AAA or the big leagues or whatever it is. Like, you just have to, like, lay your head on the pillow that night and wash it and wake up and start over. You know, like, if you have a bad game, that's it. You know, so
Yeah. Speaking of your early career, John Moore has some questions for
Yeah, I
you.
do the fun stuff. So
Okay.
he
This
does
has
all
been
the-
fun.
Yeah,
I told
know.
a great story. Shit.
You did.
the 7 ERA with 10 wins.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
when you're worried about walks and all that kind of stuff.
okay, you grew up in Baker. Are you in Bakersfield still?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're in Bakersfield, California. You went to North Bakersfield High School.
Yeah.
Did you play anything else when you were in high school?
No, my mom wouldn't let me. No, my dad played football. My grandfather played football at USC, and like he blew out both of his knees playing, and so she saw that, you know, and he had 2 knee replacements and all that kind of stuff. She says, nope, not going to play, and I almost played my senior year, but I wound up having Tommy John, so she was going to let me play my senior year because our quarterback at the time was kind of in between a hurt. And so the football coach came to me. He's like, "Hey, you ever thrown football?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I throw it all the time." You know? and I was like 6'2", so you know, and our quarterback at the time was a shorter guy, smaller guy. So, I was going to go out for summer camp, and then I wind up blowing out, and that was my extent of my football career. So, yeah.
Okay, so you ended up at Bakersfield Junior College, your little
Right.
college you went to. So is that because of the blowout? I mean, did you have other schools looking at you out of high school? And
So I had a couple, like, you know, University of San Francisco, some, like, you know, like teams. I was 88 my junior year, 87, 88 miles an hour, somewhere around there. And so wind up blowing out that off season. And then I think I had I shouldn't even been throwing. I was like 10 and a half months out. And I threw like 6 or 8 innings my senior year. And so then I had that whole off season to recover, and then went up to my local junior college just because it was close to home. I mean, it was 2.5 miles from my house.
right.
And knew the coach really well, and just a great guy. And so went up there and wound up hitting like 90 at the end of the year, and still growing. I grew 2.5 inches in college.
Right.
And put on, like, I was 205 when I graduated. I was 220 when I got drafted. So 15 pounds, and came back after like fall ball and working out and everything else. And we had like a little inter squad game and throwing, and Coach Payton, our coach at the time, says, how hard do you think you're throwing today? I'm like, I don't know, Coach, 89, 90, like how I finished last year, you know? He's like, well, you hit 97. So I was like, well, that might open up some doors. So that's how everything got started. So
you were drafted 38th overall, first round, 1999
Right.
of the draft. So this is the fun question I love to ask. It's not like it is today. How did you find out you'd been drafted? Where were you? And how'd you find out?
my mom, so my mom seems to. I remember because my grandma had the computer, and they lived 2 blocks from us, but I don't know why I remember this, but I think I remember this way, and my mom remembers it the other way. But she says, no, it was on our computer. So we had to wait for it because there was no TV or nothing was televised. So you had to wait for like it to pop up, refresh it and pop up to see
Right.
where you're going to get drafted. So my agent had told me, like, I think San Diego at the time was like, they had 2 picks in the actual first round, not the sandwich round. So
Right.
it was like 25th and 26th or 23rd and 24th or something back to back. And my agent was like, hey, they're taking you. And I was like, sweet, get to stay in California, be a Padre, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, if not, he goes, Texas loves you and they're going to take you at 38. And I'm like, he goes, if you don't go,
23 to 25.
yeah, after that, you know, in between the 23rd and 38th. I was like, okay. So those 2 guys go, and I was like, oh, all right, you know. So waiting around, right now, sure enough, Texas picked me, and off we went. So
Okay, so you made your major league debut April 1st, 2022. That means you started
in Oakland.
2002.
2002.
2002, yeah.
Yeah, of course, 2002. That's what I wrote. My zeros are horrible. So you made it in April 1st. So that means you opened the year on the big league squad.
Yeah.
So how did you find? Who told you? Hey, you're going to start this year.
So
who was the manager then?
it was Jerry Nairn at the time.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
Because you came out of the
No, it was
pen.
Johnny.
No.
What was Johnny's last year? 01? Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, so I threw in one of the last games before they come back to the ballpark, and we got like 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of splits and goes to AAA or AA, wherever you're going, So, I thrown super, super great against Tampa like a week before that, right at the end of spring in Tampa. And I threw like 6 innings. And like after the reliever kind of gave it out, I came in and threw like 6 innings and was just on fire. And so that kind of pushed me all the way to the end of camp, So I make the trip. They allow me to make the trip to here, and then I throw 2 more innings and I strike out like 5 guys, and so nobody said anything. It's like everybody's leaving tomorrow. Like I'm like, what's going on? So I walk. So I call my dad. He's like, well, just walk in there and like ask him like, hey, because my dad's on the way.
Yeah.
Driving my truck. And he's like, well, I need to know either I'm going to Oklahoma City or like
To Arlington.
Like,
At some point, I got to make the split
yeah,
off.
because he's like, I'm like 10 hours out, like I need to make the split here soon, And so I walked in there and he said, give us a minute. So come back, tap me on the shoulder. He's like, hey, Skip wants to see you. I said, okay. So go in there. He goes, tell your dad to just come on to Texas. It's like, because you made the ball club. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I still get goosebumps over it, but
Me too.
yeah. So I go in and so I call my mom and everything else, and welling up and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was cool. It was a good time.
I guess you came out of the pen. Was it opening day?
Yeah. So then I came out of the pen, and then like 2.5 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I wasn't throwing enough.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we're sending you to AAA because
Yeah,
we
you
want
went
you
up a couple times that
you
year.
to be a starter. And I was like, okay, go down, pitch well in AAA, and said the next time we call you up, you're going to be a starter. I said, okay. So go down for like a month and a half, start. Somebody gets hurt, I get called up, stick me right back in the pen. Right. So I was up for like 33 days and threw like 3 innings in 33 days.
Oh God.
So
it's no good.
So, yeah, I know. So they're like, hey, go back down. So, and this was like in July. And so finished out August and started. And then when I got called up, I think I made a couple starts in September. So.
And then after that, you had a decent time here, but Japan was really where everything turned around for you before coming back. What was that like? I mean, Japan.
Incredible.
I mean, I've heard, we've talked to CJ Nikowski, who talked a little bit about, what was so different there?
Well, I mean, I think that for me, and what was relaxing, and my brother would say the same thing, and it is a huge part of it, but it was like, that was my first time being able to go somewhere, and it's like, hey, you're the guy, guaranteed money, go pitch.
Yeah.
And that's a huge relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only for me, but like knowing that my family's taken care of. Like, once I signed that deal, I was like, man, that's life-changing money. Like I'm good. Like, now just go do your thing. You've always been good enough. Now stop worrying about all the other stuff.
Right.
And trying to be like, oh, well, if I don't pitch good, I'm going to get sent down, because I'm still young,
Yeah.
And then the fact that in 2007, we had our son. And I was like, it ain't about me and my wife anymore. I mean, like, I gotta go for this little guy,
Yeah.
So, and then, just getting over there, like, it was just easy. You
Any
get
weird
treated
food
like,
you had to eat or
you get
anything?
treated like a god. I mean, it's like, like, yeah. And then, no crazy foods. Like, you get off the plane and, right there in Tokyo, like, and, we stayed right there at the Shinagawa Prince, like the hotel and stuff. There was a TGI Fridays across the street, Outback up the street. So it's like, it was pretty easy. I played with Alex Ochoa, and he'd been there for like 3-4 years.
Right.
And so Oach was like, hey, I got this spot. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you to it. He's like, he's like, I'm gonna surprise you. I'm like, okay. So I just remember it being kind of like where all the real busy intersection was, whatever. But it was a Mexican restaurant. We go down this spiral staircase, and mariachi band, everything. Like, it was awesome. I mean, it felt like I was like back in California. You know, I was like the food was great, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So every time I went back, I would always go to this Mexican place. Yeah, but yeah, but yeah, you can find your spots that you eat. You know, like, and then the funniest thing is always like when you go over there and get a donut or something like that. You're like, oh, sweet, a donut. You know, I want to. You're like, and it's just like barely any sugar on it. Like, I mean, it's like just almost like dough, you know? So anything, like when they come, like we have like Krispy Kreme donuts or whatever, there's Krispy Kreme over there.
Yeah. They're
like, oh, too much sugar, you know? Like that's just their taste buds. But,
yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's why
there you travel by train, right? You didn't really.
Yeah. The Shinkansen. Yeah. That was super cool. Yeah.
That was, okay. But go ahead.
What led you had a series of injuries.
Right.
Was it like a minor league deal or?
Before,
but yeah,
Japan?
like had to choose to go to Japan. What were your options at that point?
So I'd had a great year in the minor leagues, and so Schultstrom. So this is my baseball agent didn't even actually wind up getting me the job over there. So my financial advisor at the time went to his high school reunion and ran into Sholey that was scouting for the Hiroshima Carp. And he's like, they get to talking. He's like, well, what clients you got? You know, he's like, well, we're actually looking at this guy, Colby Lewis, because Schultz lives in Sacramento, and that's where I was playing at the time for the River Cats. And he's like, well, that's one of my clients. He's like, maybe I can talk to him, you know, like whatever. And so that's how that conversation actually got started for me to go over with the Carp. And so, but Kansas City Royals had picked me up at the time. And so they had to release my contract. So I was with Oakland on that 10-day waiver period. They picked me up. And then I was like, look, I don't want to go into camp again and be like, all right, there's 42 guys in the camp trying to make 14 spots here. You know, like this is going to be nuts, you know? Or I can go to Japan and there's $5 million on the table, you know? So I'm like, let's go let's go do that for 2 years, you know, and see what happens, you know? So, but my wife did not want to go. Did she
end up liking it over there?
Yeah. And then once she gets over there, then I get there's a couple teams that are interested, but I wind up signing here, of course. And she's like, are you sure you want to go home? Because baseball's a little easier over here. Like, and I don't mind it. Like we could stay, like it's no big deal, you know? And I'm like, no, we're going home and it's going to be good. So, and sure enough, it was.
Well, then obviously the great playoff runs and everything with Texas.
Right.
What is your greatest memory of all of them? Is it Game 6?
Oh,
is that it? Now I'm a different perspective. You were in the clubhouse, or you were in the media, you were in the press box where I am now. Yeah. But back then, I was sitting up in that third deck. I was there. I know how wild and crazy it was out in the stands. Could you feel it? I mean,
oh yeah, no, I'm like goosebumps. Yeah, like so.
Legit.
Yeah. So, I very rarely have I ever, especially later in my career, when I was on the mound, it was like, it sounds so corny, like when you're out there, but a lot of guys say the same thing. It's like, you hear the crowd, but you don't,
right?
You know, like, it's like the Kevin Costner thing, you know, clear the mechanism, you know, but it's similar in that aspect, but that game, like I had to step back and act like I was tying my shoe because it was just that big of a moment. Yeah. And I wanted to take it in. Like it was the 7th inning or whatever, or 8th inning that everybody was chanting my name, you know? And it was like, man, you gotta soak this up for a second.
Oh yeah.
Because you never know when it's going to happen again, you know? Yeah. So.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And 74, I went to my very first Ranger game. So for me, this was my dad had passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, and my wife's up there with me. I had big old tears in my eyes too. Like you're saying, I'm like, you don't understand. We're going to the World Series. Like, that was awesome. Okay. So let's get into some fun stuff at home. Food. What's your favorite food? What do you love to eat? You're big. You're a steak guy?
Yeah. No. Probably, I don't know, grilled chicken a lot. We eat a lot of but bone in. Like,
okay.
Yeah, one of my buddies like, you know what I love about the Lewises? They eat a lot of meat in their bones. I mean, they have a lot of bones in their meat, you know, like, so like, I don't know. I like a lot of like bone in stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, like I just feel like
Are you
it's
a
got
cook or is your wife a good cook?
no, she's a great cook. She's an excellent cook. She cooks for our family. We try to with things, club volleyball and
Yeah. Going there,
yeah,
racing.
and lessons here and going there. But we try to at least 3 to 4 days a week. We have sit down and eat.
Do y'all do any fast food running around?
The kids do like after school. My son Kate would be like, "Hey, I need a snack," and it'd be like because he's growing or whatever, and so you run him through like McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever else like that, and get a burrito and call it good. But yeah, as fast as those metabolisms run, I need a little bit of that.
So what's the best home cooked meal that you have, and who cooks it? I mean, like your favorite.
Oh, my wife's like, yeah, for sure. The best one, she does this like ranchy chicken. That's like, yeah. So it's like, she gets of course it's like big thighs, bone-in thighs, and then she gets like a bag of Lay's ranch chips and crushes them all up, and then you get your egg batter, and then she kind of puts it in that, and then she bakes them in the oven.
Right.
So yeah, so yeah. So
you
it's
can
super,
tell
yeah.
I don't miss many.
Yeah, that's probably my daughter's favorite as well. So yeah,
All right.
but she makes these like my son loves these teriyaki meatballs. She makes like she's got like this. She loves cooking. Yeah.
Good.
And your son's still racing? He's doing.
Yeah, so we kind of slowed down a little bit just with he changed schools from last year to this year, and so now he's in a public school, so we can't miss as many days.
Yeah.
He's growing a bunch. Yeah, and just overall, just trying to figure out what he really wants to do. Because racing's racing, and like, you can race your whole life, but it's like
It's tough.
I want him to have.
Yeah.
I want him to have some sort of direction where he needs. Like
Case-
if he really wants to become a welder or whatever, because that's what he says he wants to fabricate and work on race
That's
cars.
what my
and
son wants to do.
Yeah.
He loves that.
Yeah, and so so I told him, I said, let's try to pick up another sport. I said, and you can go up to Bakersfield College and go through welding classes and get your certificate, and then stay a couple more years, let him grow a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go back east, because that's the team that he races for right now, is out in Indiana. And so they told him already. He's like, you're got a job anytime you want to come back after you graduate. Cool. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, I got two more. We're going to get out of here. Before I get to the last one that's good, I always got to ask a retired pitcher because it's easier to ask this question once it's done. What's the home run you gave up that was who hit the bomb off of you? The one and how far you think it went. Like everyone has one where you hung something and somebody just tattooed it.
Sosa hit one off me here, Sammy. And so it was so funny, but I got another one that I'll tell you, told me, all these guys are guys that hit 500 plus homers. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're supposed to hit homers, right? So that's the way I chalk it up. Like, when you hang one or whatever and they hit it 600 feet, you're like, that's what they should do. So as long as it's not, 3-run homer, right? It's like, exactly. all right, whatever.
Homers.
Solo homers, right? Well, this one, he hit a grand slam. Sammy did. And so I'd faced him the week before. They brought me in with Oakland when I was with Oakland in 2007. Bases loaded, bring me in, throw 4 fastballs, fouls one off, throw. This is still when I was throwing the ball well. It was like 95, 96, and throw it right by him, get it out of the inning, right? So come back and face same situation. Come in, bases loaded here at the ballpark, and I get behind on him. And it's like 3-1, and I'm like, I don't care. I was like, I threw him fastball by him last time, and he freaking caught it, and it hit off like one of the numbers, like Johnny Oates' sign up there. But I'm like, well, you're behind 3-1. You know what I mean? It wasn't an 0-2 count. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like he knows the fastball's coming. So
there are too many home runs hit on 0-2 counts.
You said Tommy hit one too.
Yeah. So Tommy kind of always had my number 2, and this is when he was with Minnesota. But so first at bat, I try to blow him up in, threw a bunch of stuff in, and broken bat, and I forget who it was. Mitch was playing off the bag, and it barely squeaks over the bag, and he only gets a single out of it because he couldn't run. He's a little older. But so next at bat, I'm like, all right, I get ahead, fastball in, I throw a sinker away, fouls it off, and I'm like, he hadn't seen a curveball yet, right? So I'm like, I'm going to backdoor a curveball. I'm like thinking, no chance, right? So it's like a 1-2 count. So I'm like, nobody on. I'm like, I'm going to backdoor a curveball. And it's like, I felt like it was a great backdoor curveball. And he goes, just steps across the plate, whack, and hits it oppo in Minnesota. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm standing on the mound. I'm like, I can't get this dude out. So no matter what I was throwing. So yeah, but yeah, I get asked that question a lot. Like the boys up at our local junior college, yeah, they ask me all those questions.
Yeah.
Like, who's the hardest hitter? And I'm like, all of them. I mean, they're all hard.
Yeah.
But coming up, when I came back from Japan, who was a tough out for me when he was younger was Cole Calhoun. Like, Cole would always, I felt like, man, he was an out and around guy when he was younger, kind of like he'd hook everything. I could never get the ball in enough on him. He felt like he beat me up pretty good when he was younger.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, last question, and this is funny. You'll love some of the answers you hear from your former GMs and all of that. What's something nobody knows about Colby Lewis? John Daniel, he has lucky underwear that he used to wear on planes. When he goes on airplanes, he has a pair for the plane ride and one for the plane ride back. Chris Young is really into the
true crime, right?
True crime documentaries.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he needs to unwind, he loves the true crime documentaries.
Yeah,
What's something nobody knows about Colby Lewis?
I like those docs too. But I don't know, when I was playing, I felt like I'd always bring my own pillow on the road.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I put a black pillowcase on it so I never forget it. So because everywhere you go and they're nicer hotel rooms, everything's white, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, well, I can't put a white pillowcase on it, otherwise I'd forget it. So I put a black pillowcase on, a Tempur-Pedic pillow. I always traveled with my own Tempur-Pedic pillow, so it was the same one I had, same style at home as the one I brought on the road, so I would sleep better. So I don't know. I mean, like maybe that. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the road, Pfizer Hotel, Milwaukee, 2010.
Oh, here we go.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
So yeah,
Pfizer's haunted. By
It's
the way.
crazy.
That's
It's crazy. I could show like so. Everybody thinks that whatever. I mean, everybody's gonna have their stories of it. Ghost stories are true or if they're not, or if you've actually seen it or not.
Yeah.
But you see what you see, and
Hey.
it is what it is. So
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, you get. I think you can go under the Pfister or whatever it is, Pfizer Hotel, and see like the Wikipedia on it and my name's on it or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I went to bed. I was pitching the next day, and it was a day game.
Day game.
So I always crushed like a ton of water, like especially leading up. Like always my thing. My wife always and my brother says the same things. I don't know how you can consume so much water.
Yeah.
So, well, when that happens for me, anyways, like I get up like 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You gotta go pee, right?
Yeah,
so
we get it.
it's like the second time I've gotten up. Like, so I go to bed at like 11:30 after the night game. Wake up after the second time, go back to sleep, and that's when I have this dream that I'm in my room. But so somebody's knocking on my door, so I go to the door and open it up. There's nobody there, right? Go back, lay down, but I'm dreaming this. Go back, lay down. Somebody knocks on the door again. I go out to the door, and nobody's there. And I'm like, this is dumb. So I kind of back up, and then I see a shadow, like under the door, right? And I kind of look underneath, like I'm dreaming this, and look under. There's nothing there, but the shadow's there. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back to sleep, right? In my dream.
Right.
So when I turn around to go back to go sleep in my dream, I hear, like all the hotel rooms have the latch, like the extra latch on top. I hear the latch squeak back and forth, turn around, and it's like the Grim Reaper style, like hood, no scaffold, no nothing like that. And so he like lifts his head up, and all I see is like that, like missing skull, kind of like half part, and it goes, Vroom! Like right at me like this, and then like you're falling out of a building, right? Like and I'm like in my dream, I'm like whoa, like it wakes me up, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, and so I'm laying there, I'm like, open my eyes, and he's right there.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So I'm like, nope. I'm like, I close my eyes. I'm like, this ain't happening. Nope. Nope. This ain't happening. So I open my eyes up again, and now he's a little further away, just kind of backing him up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, reach over, turn the light on, Cole. Reach over, turn the light on, right? And I'm like pumping myself up. Reach over, turn the light on. Nothing's there.
Yeah.
And then I look at the picture on my wall that's in there. There's like a couple trees, and it looked like the trees were kind of moving a little bit. And I'm like, no chance right now. Right. And so I'm like, so I reach open, the drawer right here, grab the Bible, turn the TV on, right? And I'm like, just reading. I'm just random stuff. I'm like, so turn the volume up on TV. I'm like, nothing's happening. So I'm still like, my adrenaline's going. So I just like get up and I walk, like down the lobby, come back. And then I wound up going back to bed, and that was it. But I mean, it was, scared the crap out of me. So, yeah.
Okay. So
I was doing something that like the devil was literally trying to like scare the crap out of me. Like something was going on. I don't know what it was, but he was making a
how'd
point.
you hear about this?
well, I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was making a point.
It was you. You were the one doing it. Yeah, he was on at your door, and
Yeah.
But
Right?
anyway,
Yeah.
the day game against Giovanni Gallardo, and what, you 8 scoreless, and you had an RBI
No,
double?
I was 8 innings, 2 runs. I gave up 2 solo shots to Prince. And
I don't remember
and
that.
like 11 or 12 punch outs, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. And then I wound up getting, and then
You got pitcher of the week.
Pitcher of the week, because the game before that I threw 7 shutout or something.
Yeah, you got that was like that great stretch where you guys won 11 or 12 in a row.
We won a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was when Hamilton was player of the month
Yeah.
in July and was just out of his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought.
And
I'd
he
bring that
told
up.
y'all the story or something, or what did you?
Yeah, we talked to him about it.
Yeah. So, but next day, I'd always try to go to chapel as much as I could if I wasn't working out or running or doing something on a Sunday. So the next day in chapel, I grabbed the pastor. I was like, "Hey, dude, we got to pray, man." Because I'm like, whatever's happening right now, like he's attacking me for some reason. So,
I'm a man of faith too. I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah. So,
All right. Anything else?
No,
Let him
thanks
get
for-
out.
yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. It's awesome. Yeah. Hey, you guys got a great setup, by the way, too.
Thank
So,
you.
Appreciate everybody, guys. Like you guys.
Roxo
support.
Media
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
These guys have a fun place for us here. Colby, thank you so much, man. It's so great for you to come in and join us here in the studio. Colby Lewis, guys, Texas Ranger, great, and now since special assistant to the general manager. In fact, I saw Colby out at I don't even know if you remember this. It wasn't this year. Last year, you were talking to Matt Watley in the bullpen, and I came and sat next to you. This is before him and I had gotten together. And I was like, that's Colby Lewis, And he's sitting here, and I was doing I was with another group then.
Okay.
You do remember that. Okay.
All right, perfect.
You were talking, but the conversation between him and Matt, that's what was so fascinating. They weren't talking strategy. They weren't talking he was just like, how are you? What do you need? What are you doing? And I remember going, wow, he's just here. He's like,
Taking care of his guys.
Taking care of his guys, man. Taking care of the guy that takes care of his guys. Because Matt Wiley is very popular among pitchers in the minor leagues. They love that guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thanks once again for Colby coming in. He's at Do It for Debt. You can still go to Do It for Debt even though it's over. You can buy stuff there. There's going to be ways to donate.
DoItForDirt.com, yep.
DoItForDirt.com. Do that. Colby, thanks, sir.
Appreciate you guys. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
guys. A big thanks to Colby Lewis for dropping in here with us. But now we're going to go down in the bus leagues. We can talk a little bit of minor leagues. Or not, obviously, the season's over. A couple of things going on. There's fall leagues going on.
Right. And I pulled a picture of Luis Angel Acuna there.
He's done well.
He's done well for the first week or 2 weeks. He's hitting 300, 3 home runs. I think he leads the team in at bat. So he's playing a lot for the surprise Saguaros.
Yep.
And the Rangers have 9 guys on that team, and they're not all playing every day.
Right.
Like Jace Easley only has 2 at bats, I think. But the big name, at least for our purposes, is Kumar Rocker, who rebounded nicely in his second outing, went 2 scoreless, walked 2, gave up a hit, but
I heard it was a CNI singles. What I heard.
well, anyway, it was much better than his debut, which was still a scoreless inning, but he walked 3 and like 19 of 28 pitches were balls. So,
right.
It was obviously, I don't know, nerves, something,
right.
But it got better,
right.
And everybody's like, after 1 inning, he's like, oh, he's got to be a closer. And it's like, come on, man, give him a chance. So anyway, and Cody Freeman, the catcher, who's we talked about last week, he's having a good little season there too. So, it's interesting. I asked, like why did Acuna did miss for the month, so he had a few at bats to catch up on, but
Right.
Aaron Zavala sure didn't. He played a full season. It's
Right.
just keeping them at a high level, maybe even a little higher level, which may portend to where they're placed to start next year or something like that. So
He's my sleeper. I think he's going to be in the big leagues next year.
well,
He's not going to make the team. Don't get me wrong. He's not making it out of spring. They don't have the 40-man spot for it right now. But I'm saying that's a guy I think that's going to end up in the big leagues.
Yeah, but he and Trevor Hauver's out there, and I think Trevor
Hauver's
Hauver
been doing
I
okay.
think he has like 7 walks. That's just kind of his deal. Those two are.
His thing is position, right? He doesn't really have a place to play.
Yeah, I think he's going to be an outfielder. So.
He was an infielder coming up, right?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a split decision, but
Right.
now he's pretty much set on being an outfielder. But if he can come in and help you out at second base or first base or something for a couple innings, then great.
Well, I tell you what, Jim Callis wrote something too. I don't know if you saw the little blurb he wrote about. Is it Harris that they think might win the Rookie of the Year?
And from the Braves. Yeah.
From the Braves, who might win Rookie of the Year. And someone said, who's the next guy? He's really not there. All of a sudden, he might make your top 100, but could be a potential Rookie of the Year. And he compared Evan Carter.
Is that right?
He said Evan Carter is a guy that reminds him of Harris, of somebody that could jump into the top 100, maybe mid there, get a chance, get into the big leagues. He's young and end up being a Rookie of the Year, that kind of a player. He compared him to Harris. Jim Callis formerly come on this show.
That's right. Former guest. Jim
Former
Callis.
guest on this show from MLB Pipeline. So that's
interesting.
It was pretty neat. It was like yesterday I saw it on a tweet or something that someone did. Instructional leagues, they've been in town all week. They've been around. They've been in
the region.
Yeah, they've been in the region.
They're done in Arizona.
Right.
And they banded together a group of teams. I think it's about 43 guys, as I recall, off the roster. They went to Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, 2 games at Arkansas, and then tonight they're at Globe Life Field against TCU.
Tickets are available if you want to go. Well, you're not going to see this. This is going to be over by the time you see
But
this.
if you want to send us ticket money, we'll take it. But,
Yeah.
they're 0-4.
Right.
I mean, this was expected.
Sure.
This is a really young team, and these are great programs that they're playing.
Oh yeah,
they're playing college powerhouses, and they're just better teams right now. And then there've been good moments.
Sure.
Jose de Jesus, who was signed with Anthony Gutierrez, he's played well. Gutierrez has played well. There've been some good moments, but the scores have been like 10-2, 10-4, 8-2, 8-4,
Right.
and that's just they've been competitive early. So like when a decent starter has been in the game, and then when he gives way, and then at the end of the games they're throwing 17 and 18-year-olds. So it really is like like a 14-year-old team playing a 9U team in some instances. So but it's a good experience,
right?
They've had crowds. The Arkansas was a good atmosphere. You can go Google and there's reports from a couple different outlets, who are pretty into Arkansas baseball. So it's just a good learning experience. They get a lot of these guys, and this is a legitimate deal. The guys who come from the Dominican Summer League, they play only day games,
right?
And there's no crowds
ever, right?
And so, and Acuna mentioned this in a story I did on him a while back. It's an adjustment. These guys have to make an adjustment to playing at night and to playing in front of crowds. And Julio Pablo Martinez also mentioned that. I mean, it's an adjustment for these guys, and so it's an interesting aspect. But they're getting exposure to it. They're playing. The games have started in the afternoon, but finished at night. So. And these college ballparks are nice. They're as good as the minor league stadiums they're going to be playing in, if not better. And then tonight at Globe Life Field, I think that's just kind of a reward for these guys, kind of a carrot, dang a little carrot out for them, and say, hey, this is a possibility.
Yeah, and it's like, remember when we've talked about Jack Leiter and how Jack Leiter went from pitching in the SEC, which is probably one of the best baseball conferences. He gets to AA, and the hitters are just. A guy he would face that would bat third for Mississippi State's now batting eighth for whoever and doing that. This is just the opposite. These college teams that are good are now playing these kids that are basically high school age and freshman college age. That's what this instructional league is.
Yeah.
These are the babies.
Yeah, I mean,
Every once in a while, like a Zavala was on there last year. He was a
Right.
college kid. They were just trying to get him some more bats after he
Sure.
didn't sign for a while. But most everybody on there are these very young kids.
Yeah, and the
Or
Rangers do
injured.
have some older guys, and they're the ones who've had success. But
Right.
as you'd expect. So, but it's
So TCU will probably spank them a little bit tonight, but
Yeah,
it'll
we
be fun
don't-
to play in the big stadium.
if you find these results and you're like, oh my God, the Rangers farm system's not as good. No. This is totally expected. The Rangers were expecting this to happen.
Absolutely.
And it's just about experience and kind of
And get in the
a
States
reward.
and travel around and,
Yeah,
and do a little
sure,
things in the
sure.
States and some of these, even the kids that are just out of high school that are from America. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You get to go
and,
play.
and none of the high school draft picks debuted this year. So this is kind of their debut.
That's their debut, and it's fine. So before we get out of here on that, what are there's some positive trends? You're going to be doing something. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Friday on the Farm this week I kind of looked at they ended up mostly being positive trends. I mean, the farm system is trending positively.
Right.
There were a couple negative ones in there, but a big one, and the reason it's Ricky Vanasco behind us
Vanasco, yeah.
is because the Rangers avoided catastrophic injuries this year.
Sure.
There were injuries to some guys who weren't their top prospects.
Right.
The most significant injury was honestly Josh Young.
Right.
And we all saw how that turned out. So, but what the player development and the medical staff did a great job getting guys ready for the season, minimizing injuries. They were ultra cautious. They erred on the side of caution whenever somebody came up with something like, Jack Leiter they shut him down for 2 weeks because his arm was a little tired. And, Dustin Harris probably could have played, but his wrist was hurt. So,
Why?
yeah. So, just little things like that. But, and then also in Ricky's case, guys who were hurt last season and didn't pitch or had a significantly reduced amount of time got through their seasons.
Yes.
It wasn't always pretty at times for some of them, maybe,
But he got the innings he needed.
Vanasco, TK Roby, Evan Carter.
Yes.
It was a huge one. Ryan Garcia coming back. I mean, I know I'm leaving out a bunch. They're in the story, but that's so when you think of Rangers past you think of 2019.
Oh God.
They had 3 guys who had Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like including Owen White,
Right.
Owen White, Mason Englert, Tommy John, and I think there was another one in there. Alex Spees, maybe he might have been 2018. But anyway,
Right.
a lot of big arm injuries in recent Rangers past, and they were able to avoid that, and that just helps player development. It gets all these guys reps. It keeps them on a timeline that the Rangers have in mind for when they make their major league debut.
Right.
So this is a really good. That was a very positive trend. And I think I did 4 positives and 2 negatives, as I recall. So anyway, check it
Don't
out.
give it all away. You
That's
gotta
right.
get it.
You got to go to rangersday.com. $5.99 a month, $60 for a year, and there's a $35 option for 6 months that somebody took advantage of yesterday. It'll carry you all the way to opening day now.
Yeah.
Get you through all the off season. So anyway, rangersday.com, subscribe. It's the off season, yeah, but here we are doing our show.
Yep.
I've written every day of the off season, which probably isn't going to continue. I gotta lie. I'm running out of stuff, but there's just a lot with a baseball.
Well, just
team.
when you think there's not something to write about every
There
day,
is.
if there is news, you'll write about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll pump them out quick like that. I've got my top 10 I'm finishing
That's
up.
right.
I've already started it. Ricky Zavala, Ricky.
I did it.
You did
now
it.
you did it.
Yeah, Ricky Vanasco, who if you've seen 20 through 11, he wasn't on there. He's obviously not in the top 10, not because he's not a top talent. Ricky, I have something to write about him in there because there were a few that dropped off at the beginning of the year, and the reason why they're not in there and why it doesn't really mean anything. It's
Okay.
good reasons why they're not there. There are just some kids that just jumped up. Still doesn't mean Ricky Vanasco isn't a major league baseball player. I think he is.
Yeah.
I mean, his velocity's back up at the end. It was down a little bit. Now it's up.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else?
No. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to Rangers Today, and
Till then?
that's
Yeah.
it. Till then.
That's it. We'll see you at the yard, guys.
Roxo Media House.